Very little traffic out here after rush hour. It's the backside of the airport, you know. Nothing but freight deliveries. Passengers go in on Witcham Street. Yes, the pudgy man said, but unfortunately, the zoning goes against little roadside businesses like mine on the busy side of the airport. He shook his head at the unfairness of the world. I was going to close up and go home at 7, but I had a feeling one more prospect might come by. Streeter looked at the table, saw no items for sale, unless the TV was, and smiled. I can't really be a prospect, mister? George Elvid, the pudgy man said, standing and extending an equally pudgy hand. Streeter shook with him. Dave Streeter. And I can't really be a prospect, because I have no idea what you're selling. At first I thought the sign said hair extension. Do you want a hair extension? Elvid asked, giving him a critical once-over. I ask because yours seems to be thinning. And will soon be gone, Streeter said. I'm on chemo. Oh my. Sorry. Thanks. Although what the point of chemo can be? He shrugged. He marveled at how easy it was to say these things to a stranger. He hadn't even told his kids, although Janet knew, of course. Not much chance? Elvid asked. There was simple sympathy in his voice, no more and no less, and Streeter felt his eyes fill with tears. Crying in front of Janet embarrassed him terribly, and he'd done it only twice. Here, with this stranger, it seemed all right. Nonetheless, he took his handkerchief from his back pocket and swiped his eyes with it. A small plane was coming in for a landing. Silhouetted against the red sun, it looked like a moving crucifix. No chance is what I'm hearing, Streeter said. So I guess the chemo is just. I don't know. Knee-jerk triage? Streeter laughed. That's it exactly. Maybe you ought to consider trading the chemo for extra painkillers. Or, you could do a little business with me. As I started to say, I can't really be a prospect until I know what you're selling. Oh, well, most people would call it snake oil, Elvid said, smiling and bouncing on the balls of his feet behind his table. Streeter noted with some fascination that, although George Elvid was pudgy, his shadow was as thin and sick-looking as Streeter's own. He supposed everyone's shadows started to look sick as sunset approached, especially in August, when the end of the day was long and lingering and somehow not quite pleasant. "I don't see the bottles," Streeter said. Elvid tented his fingers on the table and leaned over them, looking suddenly businesslike. "I sell extensions," he said. "Which makes the name of this particular road fortuitous." "Never thought of it that way, but I suppose you're right. Although sometimes a cigar is just a smoke and a coincidence is just a coincidence." "Everyone wants an extension, Mr. Streeter. If you were a young woman with a love of shopping, I'd offer you a credit extension. If you were a man with a small penis, genetics can be so cruel, I'd offer you a dick extension." Streeter was amazed and amused by the baldness of it. For the first time in a month, since the diagnosis, he forgot he was suffering from an aggressive and extremely fast-moving form of cancer. "You're kidding." "Oh, I'm a great kidder, but I never joke about business. I've sold dozens of dick extensions in my time, and was for a while known in Arizona as El Pen Grande." "I'm being totally honest, but, fortunately for me, I neither require nor expect you to believe it." "Short men frequently want a height extension." "If you did want more hair, Mr. Streeter, I'd be happy to sell you a hair extension." "Could a man with a big nose, like Jimmy Durante, get a smaller one?" Elvid shook his head, smiling. "Now you're the one who's kidding." "The answer is no. If you need a reduction, you have to go somewhere else."